Hey guys, it's Kyle Thompson here with eXp Realty, bringing you another monthly market update, and this week we're going to be focusing on apartments. Let's jump right into it. All right, last month we had 53 new listings, 17 new sales. The average list price was $472,482. The average sale price was $453,253. The average sale price to list ratio was 96.04. Average days on market was just over 53, and we ended the month with an inventory of 142. So, as always, let's take a look at what that does to the market conditions. And as always, I like to use both the monthly supply of inventory method as well as the sales to new listing ratio, as I find that using both measures gives a more complete picture of what's going on in the market. And when we look at the monthly supply of inventory, we see that last month we came in at 6.84, which is firmly into buyer's market territory. If we use the sales to new listing ratio instead, we see that last month we came in at 32%, which is also firmly in a buyer's market. Now, let's take a look at the active inventory last month. In July, we had a big boost to new listings, rising from 42 in June up to 53 in July. However, sales continue to fall for the third month in a row, falling from 23 in June down to 17 in July. On the flip side of that, expireds continue to tick up for either being flat or rising for the last 5 months in a row. And last month was the first time that we had more expireds than sales, going back over the last 12 months. So even worse than in December, which is typically the worst month. And the price for a benchmark home did rise $4,600 from $381,600 up to $386,200. Now let's take a look at the end of month inventory. Last month, we ended the month with an inventory of 142, which is the highest going back to the pandemic. And if you exclude the pandemic, then this is the highest for this time of year going back to 2016. Currently, we are about 15% above the 10-year average of 124 units for this time of year. Now, if we take a look at new listings, we see that so far, year to date, we've had 358 new listings, which is the second highest over the last decade. And currently, we are about 18% above the 10-year average of 304. If we take a look at new sales instead, we see the opposite story. So far, year to date, there's been 160 new sales, which is 19% below the 10-year average of 198. If we jump over and take a look at the sales dashboard, starting off with average sales, this table is measuring year-over-year changes, so a full year over a full year. And when looked at that way, we see that the average sale price has actually increased 1.57%, with Dufferin, Sun Peaks, Dallas, and North Cam having the largest increase in average sale price, whereas Valley View, Westside, and Saheli have had the biggest declines. Now, let's jump over and take a look at the sale to list price ratio. So all this is how much properties are selling below the list price on average, and it's a good proxy for how much negotiating room there is when you are the buyer. With that said, in July we came in at 96.4, which is a drop of about 1.1% from the month prior, which is a decent move actually. And that means that there is more negotiating room on average when you are the buyer. Now let's move on to sales by sub area. Once again, this is measuring full year over full year, and when looked at that way, we see that sales have fallen 14.14%. So they're just getting murdered. The only areas of town that are positive on the year are Aberdeen, Pineview, Dufferin, and Valley View. But Pineview, Dufferin, and Valley View all have very low sales volume, so it isn't really as rosy as it looks. Now, finally, moving on to average days on market, starting off with the 10-year. So far, year to date, it's taken an average of 49 days for apartments to sell, which is 27% below the 10-year average of 67. If we take a look at the trailing 12 months instead, we see that in July, it took an average of 53 days for properties to sell, which is 8% above the trailing 12-month average of 49. Finally, let's take a look at sales by sub-area. Once again, this table is measuring full year over full year, and when looked at that way, the average days on market has actually dropped 26% from 67 down to 50 days on average. Currently, the fastest selling areas of town are Tobiano and Dallas, which are the only properties with an average days on market of under 40, whereas the areas taking the longest to sell are Sun Peaks, North Cam, and West Side, with an average days on market ranging between 66 up to 87. So, in summary, apartments continue to have a pretty rough year. Sales are at multi-year lows, and as inventory continues to build, it's pushing us further into a buyer's market. With that, there is more negotiating room when you are on the buyer on the sales price. However, as far as days on market go and overall price, they actually have been holding in pretty well considering the circumstances. That's all we have for today. I really hope that you're continuing to get value out of these market updates. If you are, please consider liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel. And as always, if you feel like you want something added to these updates or maybe something needs to be more thoroughly explained, please feel free to leave your comments or suggestions in the comment section below, and I will get to them as soon as I'm able. Thanks for watching.